Next up, version control for automation and low code. I have a development background, educational background, but not a practical background. And I'm always looking for ways to try and bridge the gap between traditional development and low code development. So I'm just wondering if anyone has any workflows or have heard of any workflows when it comes to proper version controlling and low code stuff. Anyone?
I just finished doing the same type of thing, doing a Dropbox backup basically. But I've been toying with, because the blueprints are JSON files, whether or not I could get like something happening inside of the Dropbox folders using some Git stuff, maybe being able to like, oh, this was updated this way, or
also looking at taking that JSON and creating documentation from it automatically as well, as opposed to having to document along the way. Just build the workflow and then just feed that workflow to some AI agent that then could basically create that documentation in a standard format for us, and then update the documentation as we go.
Even just if you're kind of, trying to read the JSON file to be able to like, okay, cool, what exactly is happening here? Just the if statements alone and all the things that getting through that would be like, just, oh, a nightmare.
Especially now that like Make, for example, has the ability to like copy and paste modules built into it. That copy and paste is just text. More, I've been taking the JSON, either the whole blueprint or the individual modules, copy and pasting it into Visual Studio and doing changes in Visual Studio, and then just pasting the exact JSON back from Visual Studio back into Make, as opposed to like having to click through. I hate clicking. I hate clicking.
Yeah. The Integromat Chrome developer tool thing.
Yeah, which works pretty well.
Yeah. I've also been using the backup workflow. I've been trying to get some clients onto it, because they'll go in and change something and then it'll break and be like, okay, well, I need to figure out when they changed it. And so if I have like, hey, this was the working version, this was production, and they've messed it up from here, I can restore that version, that kind of a thing.
Have you messed around with NC Scale at all?
I have not. I just heard about it this morning.
Yeah, that's new, isn't it?
It's definitely, I think it's out of beta, but it's completely free. And I have it running on a lot of my Airtable bases as well as my my Make workflows. And just to have it there, to be able to have an audit log, as well as having a central location for documentation for all those things, as well as the linking of dependencies from Airtable fields to Make fields, is pretty wicked. The routine backups, but at least just from like an audit standpoint, like be able to have an audit log of who changed what fields, when they did, what they did, etc.
Because NC Scale would support the different platform piece. I like that approach. That's cool.
So like I'm working hourly for clients, and they're not seeing the value of it, and I try to guide them to it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty ridiculous. Like, I mean, they use like a Chrome plugin, and all of a sudden it just like magically appears like a view documentation button that you can just press. It puts it on your Airtable, puts it in your Make, puts it in like, I don't know, there's probably 20 platforms it works for right now. Just have a centralized place for all of your documentation that is free, easy to understand, and in a format that's like maintained by someone who's building a documentation platform.
I have a script that will pull out all of my fields and tables and views and stuff, and then using Miro to get like the big picture, because the stuff that's happening outside of. So sometimes I'll sync those together. And I have had a Make that, like, I forget if I have it as once a week or once a month, that goes in and backs up to Dropbox, like grabs all of the blueprints and like puts them into Dropbox. But the way that I have it is that it'll override the file that was already there instead of like stacking them all up. I was thinking of it more as like backing up rather than documenting iterations of it. So this was actually very like, aha.
Yeah. And then I'm sure that there'd be a relatively easy way to do like a diff check as well between all the different